What's up guys, my name is Ace, and today we're going to be breaking down the brand new C9 10mm mod in Black Ops 6, and this is a brand new mod that came with the Black Ops Tribute event, and just like with the guns that came with Season 3 for this game, this is meant to replicate a mod that we had back in Modern Warfare 2019 for the MP5. And with this, we're going to be seeing higher damage, better range, and better bullet velocity at the cost of rate of fire and also recoil. So let's dive into the details of this, starting it off with our damage comparison, and as you can see here, we are definitely doing a little bit more damage at every range. However, you might notice it's going to take us the exact same number of shots to kill within each of those ranges, at least to the body. So it's still going to be a 4 to 7 shot kill, just like the base C9. However, when we have a look at headshots, while the multipliers didn't change at all, this little damage increase is enough to improve our headshot potential, so we need fewer headshots mixed in with body shots to reduce the number of shots to kill. So up close, we're now capable of getting a 3-shot kill, but every bullet needs to hit the head. And more importantly, as you start to get out to a distance, it's only going to take you 1 headshot mixed in with body shots to cut down on the number of shots to kill. So that's really where the power of this mod comes out with the damage boost, because it's just not helping at all with body shots alone. As for the nerf that we get to our rate of fire when using this mod, our base rate of fire goes from 732 rounds per minute down to 667 rounds per minute. That's a pretty big drop in rate of fire. And even with rapid fire, we go from 779 rounds per minute down to 706 rounds per minute. And what this means for our base time to kill potential is instead of killing in 246 milliseconds in the 4-shot kill range, now we're killing in 270 milliseconds. Now, to be clear, 270 milliseconds is not a bad time to kill in this game. It's still pretty decent, but it's no longer exceptional. The base C9 has an exceptional time to kill in that range, and you're losing out on that when you put this mod on. So that's the big downside to using the 10mm mod on the C9. You lose that exceptional time to kill in exchange for a pretty decent time to kill. Next, let's have a look at ranges, because this is something we do gain with this kit. As you can see here, all of our range values are increased a little bit. Our maximum damage range, or our 4-shot kill range, it's really not increased by much. It's less than a meter. However, with our other 2 damage ranges, these ones increase nicely. So our 5-shot kill range and our 6-shot kill range, they are improved by a very noticeable margin here. And I would say this is where this mod excels the most against the base C9, is in those mid-range engagements. It's a lot more likely that you're going to run into a situation where it takes you 1 less shot to kill within those ranges. Now, you might have also noticed our bullet velocity is improved just by putting the 10mm mod on. It goes from 550 meters per second up to 605 meters per second, which will be helping at least a little bit if we're stretching our range out to those mid-ranges. Now, circling back to the last stated downsides with the 10mm mod, this is apparently it hurts our recoil. So let's take a look at that, and as you can see with this recoil plot, honestly, it doesn't look that much different from the base C9. There's definitely a little bit more vertical magnitude, but horizontally it's looking pretty comparable there. And I think a lot of this is just due to the fact that since we have a slower fire rate, even though they also increase the recoil, they kind of balance out, at least to a degree, so you're not seeing a huge change to our recoil plot, even though the changes to the recoil values themselves were fairly large. And just from my personal experience using the 10mm mod, it does seem pretty easy to control outside of the pretty strong horizontal cuts that you see, both with the base C9 as well as this mod. At the end of the day though, I wouldn't consider this like a massive recoil nerf over the base C9, and if anything, it almost feels a little easier to control due to the lower fire rate. That doesn't mean I plan on using this for really long-range fights on a consistent basis, but it's really not all that bad, and I wouldn't consider this to be a huge downside going from the base C9 to the 10mm mod. Now, outside of that, with this mod, all of the other stats are exactly the same, so it has no impact on our handling stats, our hip fire, movement speeds. Those are all identical to the base C9. However, there is one key limitation I wanted to point out here that isn't stated in the stats, but it's just kind of obvious if you look through the attachments. And this is the fact that when using this mod, which is in the magazine category, by the way, I don't think I've mentioned that up until this point, there's literally one option here, and that is a 30-round mag. You don't have any other options if you want to use 10mm on the C9. And honestly, I consider this to be the biggest downside and biggest limitation with this mod, is you are locked at 30 rounds no matter what. Now, from what I remember, this is exactly how it was in Modern Warfare 2019 as well. It was one of the key limitations is you couldn't get a larger magazine, which many of us do like having a larger magazine, especially in Black Ops 6 with the crazy movement and stuff. I don't like constantly having to stop and reload. I really like getting a kill, moving on to the next kill, and doing that as much as possible in between reloads. And therefore, this is a big limitation that I had to point out. In either case, with all of that out of the way, I do want to share at least a couple attachment combinations here with the 10mm mod that I like using so far and I've been able to find some success with. And the first one is basically just my balanced stealth build on the C9 with a slight adjustment, and that is putting on this magazine. So with this, we've got a suppressor to stay off the radar, the Ranger foregrip to help with that horizontal recoil control, but also to really nicely improve our sprint speeds. We have the 10mm mod itself in the magazine category, the ergonomic grip to help with ADS speed and slide to fire and dive to fire times, and then finally the infiltrator stock for a really nice 4.2 meter per second aim walking speed, which is quite fast. Now with this, you can see that it does tighten up our horizontal recoil a little bit, and that helps a lot with this gun. And I've actually found that I can be a little more accurate with this than with the base C9, even with the same attachments. And as I mentioned earlier, that's probably just due to the fact that there is a slightly lower fire rate, so it's just easier to get on top of that recoil as it's happening. And I found this is just a nice, easy way to use the 10mm mod if you don't want to use Gunfighter. However, I wanted to see the potential with this, especially accuracy-wise, if we go with the Gunfighter wildcard, so that is my second setup here. With this one, we're using the Kepler Microflex optic, the compensator, the long barrel, the vertical foregrip, the 10mm mag itself, the ergonomic grip, the infiltrator stock, just like the previous build, and then finally recoil springs. So you can see we went all in on recoil with this one, and we can really see the results of that here. There is very little recoil with this. This is quite easy to control, so you can really stretch out your ranges much more effectively than the base C9. And speaking of ranges, we're also getting a nice boost here due to the long barrel. So we actually get about a 21 meter 4-shot kill range, which is not bad at all. And yet we still maintain excellent handling stats and a really nice aim walking speed with that infiltrator stock. So this is just a nice alternative if you're looking for something that's really excelling at mid ranges. You're still going to be beat out right up close and personal by the base C9, but at mid range you will start to gain an advantage with this one. And there we go. That's going to wrap it up for this breakdown of the 10mm mod on the C9. And overall, when it comes to my thoughts on this mod, honestly, I was a little bit underwhelmed with this. I don't think it's horrible. It's very usable. You can absolutely find some success with this. But relative to the other SMGs in the game and relative to the base C9, I would say it's just not really a standout. It's not amazing. And it doesn't really have anything special going for it that gives you a solid reason to use this over the others. Now, looking back to how they handled this in Modern Warfare 2019, one thing they did to give the 10mm ammo a little bit of a boost over the base MP5 in that game is in the minimum damage range, it took one less shot to kill with 10mm compared to 9mm. Whereas with this, as you can see, the maximum damage range was exactly the same between the two. But then again, there was also a much smaller difference in our rate of fire between 9mm and 10mm. We were seeing like a 2 millisecond difference in our time to kill up close. Whereas in Black Ops 6, there's a much, much bigger difference there. And therefore, I think that's an even stronger argument for perhaps making it so this mod never drops off to a 7-shot kill in Black Ops 6. I think that would be a totally fair and balanced way to handle this. I don't think that would make this gun overpowered, and it would really give it a solid place in the SMG category because it would be the best SMG at longer ranges. And while you'd still be beat out by assault rifles, it would just stand out at least within the SMG category. Now that's just the first thought that came into my mind after looking at the Modern Warfare 2019 version of this. Again, I do want to reiterate, I don't think this mod is totally horrible and unusable. It's just underwhelming in my eyes, and I don't see much of a reason to be choosing this aside from the fact that it's just something new to play with. Now, of course, these are just my opinions, and this is where I want to hear from you guys in those comments down below. How are you feeling about this 10mm mod for the C9 in Black Ops 6? Do you guys agree with me? Do you think it's a little underwhelming? And do you think it needs a buff? Or do you think it's just fine as it is? If you enjoyed the video, a like rating is always appreciated. And don't forget to subscribe for more if you haven't already. I'll talk to you guys next time.